Welcome back to the Explainer. As we were looking into the whole landscape of starting a business in 2026, we actually stumbled on something highly, highly actionable. Think about it. What if the next business you start didn't require some massive office space, a huge upfront investment, or, hundreds of thousands of social media followers? Well, it turns out you can absolutely start with just a tiny amount of capital, learn as you go, land that very first customer, and slowly scale the whole thing into something pretty substantial.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to examine 11 highly specific, kind of unusual side hustles today. And they're fascinating precisely because they solve very real, everyday problems. We're going to look at local services, buying and reselling models, some cool technology-driven ideas, and honestly, a few concepts that are so wonderfully simple, you'll literally be wondering, why haven't I seen these everywhere?
But hey, before we get to the actual list, it's really important to clarify something right out of the gate. This is not, I repeat, not a list of magical ways to get rich overnight. Because let's be real, every legitimate business requires serious effort. You need a solid strategy for getting customers, you have to provide excellent service, and yeah, there's always going to be a certain degree of risk involved. But what the right small business does provide is an amazing vehicle to turn your time, your specific skills, your creativity, or even just your access to certain products into real additional income.
All right, Section 1, the art of the flip, buying low, fixing, and selling high.
So this first group is all about the completely unglamorous but highly profitable world of flipping mispriced physical assets. Think about stuff like used lawnmowers or, say, cheap jet skis. To the average person, a dirty lawnmower that just won't start, or a broken down jet ski taking up precious space in a driveway, well, it just looks like a massive headache, right? The owner usually just wants the thing gone. But if you have the knowledge to evaluate and actually improve that equipment, that headache represents a beautiful, highly lucrative spread between your acquisition cost and the resale value. A used jet ski, for instance, might literally just need some basic cosmetic work or routine maintenance to get it back on the water. And this perfectly illustrates the classic economic model of the flip, right? You buy below market value, you add value, and you sell at a higher price. Simple enough. But look closely at step 1 here. Buy cheap absolutely does not mean low risk. Actually, scratch that. A cheap recreational vehicle with a totally destroyed engine isn't cheap at all. It's a complete money pit. You really have to learn to inspect engine conditions, hull integrity, service history, and always factor in your time, your transportation costs, and marketplace fees before you hand over any cash. Moving on to Section 2, solving annoying local problems, profiting from dirty jobs. Now, some of the absolute best business opportunities out there aren't exciting or glamorous in the slightest. They just solve a highly annoying problem that people are more than happy to pay someone else to avoid. Take car seat cleaning or trash can cleaning, for example. We all know car interiors get absolutely disgusting. Food, coffee spills, sweat, pet hair, you name it. And trash cans? They smell, they breed bacteria, and literally nobody looks forward to scrubbing them out. By tackling these dirty jobs yourself, you create a rock-solid foundation for recurring revenue. You can offer a mobile service, travel directly to the customer's house, clean their seats or sanitize their bins, and because these things will inevitably get dirty again, boom, that one-time customer just became a loyal, repeat client. And that brings us to this incredibly powerful number, 100. You see, in local service businesses, your ultimate goal isn't just figuring out what you can charge one isolated person across town. The real magic happens when you ask yourself, how efficiently can I serve 100 customers in the exact same area? It's all about route density. If you get 20 customers on one street, then 50, then 100, your travel time absolutely plummets, your efficiency skyrockets, and as a result, your profit margins grow tremendously. Okay, Section 3, selling experiences and outcomes. Positioning is everything. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how packaging a super basic product around a very specific customer need completely changes its perceived value. Consider things like wall printing, vending machines at gas stations, or even just a simple hot cocoa stand. None of these are inventing a brand new product, right? But a hot cocoa stand at a freezing winter community event, or a vending machine at a busy travel stop, that thrives on what we call location-driven demand. You're putting the product exactly where an existing crowd has an immediate, desperate need for it. It's the exact same story with wall printing, where specialized equipment prints designs directly onto vertical surfaces. You aren't selling the ink itself. A cafe owner doesn't care about your cool machine. They care that you can transform their ordinary, boring, blank wall into a finished, stunning visual masterpiece. To really cement this concept, imagine for a second you source some visually interesting LED lit sticks. If you just post online, LED sticks for sale, well, you're selling a cheap commodity.
good luck with that. But if you package them as festival photo props or wedding entrance lighting, you've completely reframed the whole concept. You could bundle 50 sticks together, deliver them in a nice container, set them up at the venue, and then pick them up afterward. Suddenly, you aren't selling a piece of plastic with a light bulb anymore. You are selling an unforgettable event experience. Next up, Section 4, Leveraging Tech and Content, Digital Solutions for Existing Problems. Here, we're looking at how digital tools and content creation can bridge a huge gap for customers who just lack the time or the skills to do it themselves. Think about turning a child's messy, overflowing pile of artwork into a neat, beautifully printed keepsake book. The customer isn't buying bound paper. They are happily paying you to preserve an emotional memory. Or consider recording a deeply satisfying time-lapse of a room renovation or a garden makeover. People are absolutely captivated by transformation. By partnering with local businesses to film these time lapses, you create incredibly engaging promotional content that they can use for giveaways and audience building, while you get paid for creating the content. It's a total win-win.
And speaking of digital tools, look at how we position artificial intelligence services. Real estate agents, for example, desperately need content, property videos, listing descriptions, social media posts, but many of them absolutely hate making it. Now, if you approach them saying, hey, I use AI marketing software, they're likely going to tune you right out. They don't wake up in the morning wanting artificial intelligence. But if you tell them, I will take your property photos and generate a week of ready-to-publish real estate leads and social media content, well, now you have their full attention. Your true advantage isn't knowing how to press a button on some new AI tool. It's producing a highly useful, tangible business result for them.
Finally, Section 5, the big lesson. There is no universal best side hustle. So the crucial point is, when you look back at all 11 of these diverse businesses, they all require entirely different skill sets. So please stop asking the internet what is the easiest side hustle. It's the wrong question. Instead, you really need to ask yourself, what problem can I solve better, faster, cheaper, or more conveniently? This is exactly how you align your unique personal skills, your available resources, and your environment with actual paying market needs. To help you do that, here is a universally applicable 5-step framework you can use today. First, look at your resources. Be honest, what time, money, and skills do you actually have right now? Second, look at market demand. You have to find people who will realistically pay for this. Third, start small and validate the idea before you go out and buy a bunch of expensive equipment. Fourth, track your actual numbers meticulously. Because remember, revenue is absolutely not the same thing as profit. If you make $1,000 but you spend $700 on materials and ads, your true result is only $300. And finally, think about scalability. Can you automate tasks, hire help, or build route density to grow this thing without totally burning yourself out? Now, as we look at 2026, your absolute biggest advantage is your unprecedented access to incredible tools and global marketplaces. But you have to remember this: information alone doesn't create income. Execution does. You could read about this stuff all day, but you have to act. Pick just one single idea, do the research, and go out and get exactly one paying customer. Just start. So I'm turning it over to you now. Which of these 11 side hustles will you actually try in 2026? The traditional barriers to starting a business, they have completely vanished. The only real bottleneck left is your willingness to step outside your comfort zone and solve a real problem for someone else. So what problem will you choose to solve tomorrow? Drop a comment and let us know. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will see you in the next one.